So we're on the Great Dividing Range here, so we're on the interface between Wurundjeri and Taungurung country. This is the area where Indigenous people say they didn't live because of the danger for fire. Kinglake is the most fire-prone place on Earth ever. And so, if we're entering, as Stephen Pine talks about, a pyrocene, then this is pyrocene design. The property is 2/3 of an acre. It's a particularly peculiar block. It really stood out when my former partner Lucy and I were looking for houses in the area. So it's got 150 metres of road frontage. It's a shallow drainage. Everything's very linear, running east and west, which suits solar passive design. So we've managed to capture a lot of the north sun. On the property at the moment, we've got 2 temporary dwellings. One was a hardwood 1-bedroom granny flat from Heathmont. We've also got a shipping container, and we've got some other temporary dwellings and a yurt, which is my office. We've used biotecture or Earthship building to retrofit an existing solar passive mud brick house. There was a slab here when we bought it, and so what I've done is build across the mud brick. On the west side is the new house. This mud brick wall about 6.5, 7 foot high all the way around. That's operating as our lounge dining area. Adjoining that is the kitchen. We've got a bar and a larder, and just next is a small laundry and then a bathroom. So there's 2 bedrooms, and the bedrooms are long or deep. That's dark and cool, and it's really good conditions for sleeping. At the front of the rooms, it's quite bright, really good for a studio space if people are wanting to do any painting or writing or sculpture, and also office space at the front, and that looks out onto the greenhouse. In the other house, the 2-bedroom mud brick house that we've renovated, we've got the greenhouse, a lounge dining area and kitchenette, the old laundry, we've got the old 2 bedrooms, and in the centre on the south side is the bunker, and a 3rd area that was created when we decided to shift the tile wall from the edge of the mud brick wall further south, which created a new space, an additional roof area, which was absolutely critical for us because we're off grid for water, so the greater the amount of roof area, the more water we can store. We've got 7,500 litres of water stored in landscape tanks along the south side, so it goes tile wall, vertical insulation, rubber lining, etc. to keep it waterproof. Then we've got excavated soil that's in that space, and then landscape water tanks. Then there's a berm to the nature strip, so that area is really useful infrastructure for us to be able to store all of that water. There'll be a water tank on the east side of the house, that might be 20,000 litres there, and then that'll all articulate up with the main tank, which is 55,000 litres. And we'll put a 4th tank in on the west side, which will enable us to circulate water around the house, maybe using a solar pump, but it'll also allow us to move water to the side of the house that's most vulnerable from prevailing winds. Wherever we can, as I said before, we've tapped into that philosophy that Melbourne is a big geophysiological system, and there's enormous flows of resources. So we've just looked at Melbourne as a series of supply chains, which was really just the waste stream. The materials here, secondhand hardwood ceilings from the 1940s, they were old floorboards. We've got 1,200 tyres that make up the wall underground. Secondhand tyres all came from local mechanics, so there was an abundance of them. Again, we've got sort of 30 metres of tyres to the south, 30 metres of glass to the north. On the west half of the house, it's about 3.5 metres high. On the north side of the house, where the roof extends a little bit further, it's a 7-degree pitch. It's 4.3 metres tall, so it'll enable us to put trees that are understory, not canopy, that we can have in the greenhouse. So yeah, we're looking at Southeast Asia and through the Congo in Africa and all in through the permaculture networks, and yeah, really excited about the greenhouse functioning. We were able to get secondhand double glazed glass, a lot of materials from different places around Melbourne. Footscray Market, for example. We got their insulation panels from Cool Rooms, so we insulated the tile wall with the insulation panels so that the heat then is transferred into the building rather than into the soil. We don't have any heating or cooling in the house because it's underground. It basically maintains a consistent internal temperature of about 18 or 19 degrees centigrade. So this area stays really warm. You know, when we get a lot of heat in the house, particularly in the greenhouse, the windows have been designed that they fall back and allow heat to escape. When you evacuate hot air from the greenhouse, it creates a chimney effect which draws in cool air from underground. We've got pipes that come through from the nature strip, so those pipes are the cooling pipes, so they travel, you know, up to 20 metres underground, and that's the cooling system for the house. It's just been absolutely gorgeous to be able to design something that works in terms of just maintaining that internal temperature and not being dependent on fossil fuels to power the house for heating and cooling. You know, the whole idea behind this design is preparedness, or preparing within the pyro scene. So if we're doubling the rate of major firestorms, for me it behooves everybody to think carefully about their design. I don't know that it's going to be practical to leave fire-prone areas in Australia every time the temperature's over 35 degrees or there's a hot wind. With that in mind, my thinking was build a building that is prepared for fire and don't assume that you'll always be able to drive out. So the house in itself is a bunker, and within the bunker we've designed a bunker. So in a fire it can comfortably house a dozen people, and we'll be able to operate the sprinkler systems, etc. from the bunker. We'll also have oxygen and water, you know, everything that'll help us survive a bushfire essentially for up to 45 minutes for a mega firestorm. Having been through Black Saturday and worked with the Community Recovery Committee, we saw a lot of people struggling with trauma in the aftermath of a major disaster. One of the things I hope we've done well with the design is create a very calm place, and a place where people can, you know, begin that work or consolidate that work of recovery.